Hey guys, what's up? It's Connor from Dragon Rider Network, and I'm here today to do my overview of the brand new HP Touchpad that was recently released a little over a week ago. I finally got my hands on it at a local Best Buy. I had my iPod Touch on hand, and I decided to get some brief film of what it could do in hardware and software. So anyway, let's get started. So anyway, there was a lot to cover about the HP Touchpad. So let's start with the very first thing, which is what we all have to deal with when we first get the HP Touchpad, which is of course hardware. The hardware of the HP Touchpad actually felt very good compared to other designs like the iPad. The HP Touchpad has a plastic design all around it, much like the old iPhone 3GS, which in my opinion actually made it feel really good compared to the iPad 2, which a metal design is actually pretty good, but the plastic design actually gave it a lot better feeling in the hand even when I held it. And yes, there is some extra thickness and heaviness added into that extra bulk and size. However, for a person like me with big hands, it definitely added a lot of support and definitely made the device feel a lot better in the hand. So anyway, what the HP Touchpad actually didn't have was a rear-facing camera. It did, however, have a front-facing camera like the iPad. However, it does not have a rear-facing camera like the iPad. Now this, of course, to me, isn't as big a deal as like most of the recordings that I'll actually be doing for actual HD video will not come from my tablet, but rather from my iPod Touch, my iPhone, or my video camera that I'm using right now. Not many of my videos that I record on the go will actually come from my tablet. They'll more come from my mobile devices. So it's not as big a loss, but I can see in some cases when you're video chatting and you want to switch cameras, it can be a little bit of a loss. The physical home button was definitely a big hit for me coming over from the iPad and the iPhone and iPod Touch, and the HP Touchpad definitely did a good job carrying this over, unlike, however, the Samsung Galaxy Tab, which I did not like not having a physical home button. That button, I believe, is the only physical button that a tablet should have on it, other than the home button and the sleep-wake button. Other than that, no buttons, it will all make a very great tablet. And of course, the brand new dual-core processor from Snapdragon obviously gave this a whole lot of speed using applications and booting up and booting down. It was a whole lot quicker than most tablets out there. Of course, with the new dual-core A5 chips in the iPad 2, it definitely is comparable, but for specs, you'll definitely have to go to one of the websites to check those out for yourself. Anyway, for hardware, I definitely found it to be one of the higher level tablets out there. For some of the features, it could definitely pick up probably a rear camera for some of those other people who want to get an additional camera for when they're video chatting. And for weight, they could have managed to make it a little bit lighter, but overall, I felt they did a very good job of keeping it a usable size for most people, and it definitely did a very good job using it on the go for me. Now on to the furthermore of the product, which obviously will be the software. The software that the HP tablet uses is the HP WebOS that was carried over from Palm. And it definitely makes a very good transaction point from people coming over from either iOS or the Android software, because it really incorporates a little bit of both in between. For example, for iOS users, it incorporates the dock that is typically always found in the iOS operating systems on mobile devices. And for Android, it definitely incorporates much more of a sophisticated look rather than the iOS's traditional look that's continued for 4 years. And it's definitely a really great operating system for multitasking. The system is that you will hit the home button, you will be able to see all of your apps lined up right for you at the top. If you want to go into one, you just swipe over and you can tap on it to activate it. Or if you want to close an application, you flick it up and then you can close out of it that way. And it makes it really great for everything that you would really want to do. Multi-touch was also incorporated into the new HP touchpad, much like the iPhone and iPod Touch devices. What this was actually used for was that if you want to go into a photo or a web page, you can actually take 2 fingers and pinch out or pinch in order to reshape the size of the web page or the photo. It makes it really useful and also another great transaction point for everyone coming over from iOS. Now, web browsing on the HP touchpad could have been a little bit better. It has a very good layout, obviously, because it's a tablet. However, the web browser definitely could use a little bit of work. Definitely something like Safari or Opera that is used in the iPad software would have definitely been a good transaction that they could have taken. It has a great layout in Safari or Opera on the iPad. However, for this, I really felt it had too many unnecessary drop-down menus, and even some of the things that were in the drop-down menus actually should have been more boldface right on the web page's main face. There's also an Instant Messenger custom for the HP WebOS, which is actually very similar to what looks to be coming in iOS 5 for iMessenger. What it basically does is you can communicate between HP WebOS devices much like you can in iOS, and it just seems to work pretty well. It has a very good layout, but I'm very excited to see how it will actually stand up against Apple's version of Instant Messenger on iOS. But you know what? Only time will tell once iOS 5 is released, and that's a whole nother video. Now, because it has a faster processor built in, it can obviously handle greater applications, such as Adobe Flash. Now, this in my opinion is good for the HP tablet right now. However, it's not going to be as big a deal once more and more applications start coming in, because Flash at this point really is becoming unnecessary in a very big way. As in, when you get applications that do what the website would have done, you no longer need that website to run on the tablet. You only need the application, and it has information that can obviously run on the tablet. So you wouldn't need Flash to begin with. But in this case, when there are only probably about 200 applications at most for the HP touchpad, Flash is definitely a pretty useful thing to have for people coming over to the HP touchpad. Speaking of the App Store is definitely one of the biggest letdowns of the HP touchpad. Pretty much only 200 apps at most for the HP touchpad is a definite letdown for many of those people coming over from the iPad or Android who want thousands upon thousands of applications to choose from. However, you won't be able to see it that soon since the App Store just opened up for HP. However, we can expect to see some more coming over the course of the year. So what are my final thoughts on the software? Well, I definitely have to admit that the software from HP for the WebOS definitely has come a long way in development. It makes great use for the UI on the HP touchpad, and I really have to admit it makes a really good stand-up impression to many of the iOS users, including myself. I would definitely recommend it for anyone who's coming over from iOS, but definitely not so great for what it has right now for applications. But there's still time to wait. So anyway, what's my final opinion on the HP touchpad? Well, I definitely have to admit, it makes a very viable contender for people wanting to go with an alternative to the iPad or any other Android tablet on the market. It makes great use of its hardware and software, but it definitely has a little bit of work to do in the App Store department. Other than that, I find it to be a very great tablet. I would definitely recommend buying it if you are not already an iPad owner or one of the many Android tablet owners, or even a BlackBerry Playbook user, whoever you may be. And I definitely have to say, if you want to go out and buy it, I definitely would not discourage you to. It's a great tablet. It's a great price, priced at $499 for the 16 gig model, $599 for the 32 gig model, all on Wi-Fi, and at a pretty similar range to the iPad. It definitely makes a great buy. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. Remember to subscribe to my channel for more tech content like this. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/thedragonrider. Be sure to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/dragonridernetwork, and like it. And be sure to check out the website, dragonridernetwork.com, for all your tech blogs, tech videos like this, and everything else tech. So anyway, guys, I will catch you at the next video. Talk to you then.